Johnny Millennium from the Happy Console Gamer Show, and I have found the closest thing to a jungle. We are reviewing Kong Skull Island. They're trying to reboot King Kong again. Can you believe it? What'd you think, my friend?
What a gong show. I should say, what a Kong show.
It is a Kong show, yeah.
It is, and I gotta put it back to you. What is your favorite Kong movie of all time?
Well, I mean, we're kind of spoiling what we think about this movie, but I still like the Peter Jackson movie.
Me too.
I think that had a lot of cool sort of homage to the 30s and the classic King Kong, but it had its own heart. But I did really like Kong Skull Island. I think that there's a lot of fun in this movie.
I think it's a good popcorn movie, but that's really about it. I watched the 1933 King Kong the other day.
Seminal.
Just to get into the mood, because I'm not a big King Kong fan.
Yeah.
And I watched this movie, and it's a really kind of cool modern take on it, set in the Vietnam era.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's a little bit all over the place for me, acting-wise, moral choices-wise, but it is fun. There's some great monster battles in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to give any spoilers either.
Yeah, we're going to try to stay away from spoilers, but the one thing that I would say about this movie is it's almost like a blending of Platoon or Apocalypse Now with Jurassic Park. And that's a crazy concept, and it sort of gives you this idea of like bullets flying in every direction. And that's what this movie is.
Yes.
You know, the filmmakers really, especially in the visual effects, wanted to trace every single action shot to its final resting position. So, like, if Kong grabs a helicopter, for example, out of the sky and smashes another helicopter with it, we follow every sort of action inside the cockpit. We see the hit. We see what the hit happens. We see the ricochets. We see, and it's
a bit of a war film, yeah, absolutely.
And it's a bit exhausting, but it's also exhilarating. And honestly, you get amped by the sort of prowess of the visual effects artists that put all of this stuff together. But the flip of it is, you know, obviously this is a CG-heavy film. They didn't really construct tons of robots and animatronic creatures like they have with previous Kong films. At least it looks like that. So you see a lot of CG, and one of the issues I had is, and I think we were talking about this, is that every shot is just too perfect. The lens flare, everything is so beatific that it feels a little phony.
There's a lot of really artistic shots in this movie, which is strange for a King Kong movie. Like a lot of low-angle shots and side shots of characters just picking up things. And really, there's a lot of attention to detail in every single shot. But in the end of the day, it is a big CG movie.
Yeah.
And as good as that CG looks, it's still a CG Kong movie.
Yeah.
So if you just want to go in and have a bit of fun with the explosions and Kong destroying things, fighting monsters and ridiculous things on this island, you're going to get it. But don't go in for some deep kind of plots, because you're not going to get it.
Well, and part of the problem is this is loaded with, pretty big celebrities. It's almost like one of those classic 70s sort of disaster movies, like The Towering Inferno or something. You see Tom Hiddleston in there. You see Brie Larson. You see Samuel L. Jackson. It's a law in Hollywood. He's got to be in every movie.
Yeah.
You see John C. Reilly, who kind of walks away with the picture. He's a total scene stealer.
He's great.
He's great. There's lots of scientists. There's lots of soldiers. Effectively, you don't really get a sense
You get lost in everybody.
Because
there's so many people that you can't really connect to any one person.
You know, and I think it creates epic scale, which you kind of need to do. You know, and certainly the scale of King Kong is well represented here. And, you know, the ferocity and the brutality and the enormity of the challenge to deal with a creature like that, that's all wonderfully represented. But again, we sort of lose that human touch. And even though there are a couple of connected moments with Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston and Kong,
which doesn't make any sense to me.
It feels forced, and it's like, we have to remember that there has to be empathy.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't feel any of that.
Yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson, he is awesome in every role. I love him as a character in any movie he plays. But it's just, he's a one-trick pony in this.
You could kind of, supplant or, plant his character from any movie into this one.
Yeah.
You know, even though it's set in the 70s and there's a cool 70s aesthetic, there's some great again, visual effects applied to kind of grain the film.
He's so freaking angry in this movie.
He really is.
That it's questionable morally. So it's like, really?
Yeah.
Really? You gonna do this?
Like stupid decisions based on how angry he is that put his whole team at risk.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, you take that plot from any monster movie, that applies in every single one, right? That you have to put everybody in jeopardy.
And that's what this is. It's a popcorn movie. You're going to go in. You're going to see King Kong. You're going to see some characters running away, and King Kong's in the background, smashing things. Lots of fun. But that's all it's going to be. Well, there's nothing deeper.
There is a layer of artistry, though, that is absolutely worth watching and actually rewatching. You know, I think that there's some value in the way this movie was put together, and I also applaud the fact that this is, you know, a go for broke kind of fun monster flick as well. Godzilla was cool artistically, and I think that they had it. That was the Gareth Edwards movie, which I felt it was just a little too ponderous and a little too slow. It kind of put me to sleep. And this one doesn't. You know, it takes a bit of time to build up to the sequences with the monster. And we get to see some of that sort of slower pace, trying to build the character stuff, and that was I found a little dry and dull.
It's weird,
but then it steps on the gas in a big way when we get to the island, when we actually get there.
I didn't mind the build up to the island. I thought that was quite good, and then when we got to the island, I was like, okay, we're gonna do this, and we did that.
It really transitions to kind of a B camp. You know,
it is,
like a classic Universal scare monster movie type thing, but with state-of-the-art visual effects.
There's some great visual effects in this movie.
The eyes that you see with King Kong when he's looking at Brie Larson, I
got so emotional at that point. I was almost crying.
Well, it was lovely, right? It was a really
lovely movie.
I thought it was cool. Like
I didn't feel it.
You know, the craftsmanship that's on display there, but there's no character stuff.
No,
right? There is no we don't really see why there's suddenly this empathetic switch over.
It's a weird movie for me because it's all over. It's a war film. It's a monster film. It's these characters are there. They just happen to be there.
Yeah.
I'm making weird moral choices. It's really up and down. My emotions were like, do I like this or dislike this? I couldn't really figure it out.
Well, and honestly, King Kong exists in this weird paradigm where you have to have empathy for the creature.
For the movie to work.
And for it to work because of the history, because of the identity that we have with King Kong. Jessica Lange and King Kong that connected in the 70s one. Naomi Watts and King Kong connected in the the Peter Jackson movie, and certainly Fay Wray and King Kong connected. And it makes this it's like a Frankenstein kind of parable, and we need to have that. And we don't really in this movie because it's really engineered to be something new for the studios. And,
even you brought up a good point. In the 1933 King Kong movie, when King Kong falls off the Empire State Building, you're emotional. You feel something.
Yes.
Even though it looks so bad. Where this one, I didn't feel anything at all.
I did have a smile on my face though, and I was appreciative of the efforts applied to make this a pretty fun experience. It's definitely. We saw this on an IMAX screen, and it looked incredible. They had the sound down, which was
unfortunate.
Unforgivable.
Yeah.
It should have been as incredible in our ears as it was in our eyes.
Yeah.
But it was amazing to watch this movie. Like visually, this is stunning. And I think this is one that I'm going to collect if it comes out on a 4K Blu-ray.
I will never watch the movie again.
No?
Never.
All right. Well, what are you going to give Kong Skull Island?
7 out of 10.
It's going to get a 7.5 from me. Not much higher score, but I think I liked it a little bit more than you did.
I think you did.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for checking out that video on our EPN channel. It's just one small part of the things that we make around here. So if you liked it, don't forget to check out some of our other vids and hit that subscribe button.